back.
Welcome back for another Two Plane Sports live stream.
Oh man, how you guys been? Brandon, I know he's been feeling really good the last couple days.
Feeling just fantastic. Yeah, just hanging out. How about you guys? How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's been freezing today.
You want me to come hang out with you, Brum, tonight?
No, not at all. I don't need the sickness. This morning
cold here too.
Yeah, it's probably been like 70.
Yeah, I was going to say 70 degrees.
Like high of 58 today. It's 32 when I woke up.
Wow, low of 32.
That's pretty cold. Water can freeze here.
It is cold out in Old Phoenix. No, this morning it was freezing. Had a very little snow on the ground, and it was a train wreck trying to drive to work in the morning. I mean, I think there were like nearly 40 accidents in Tulsa.
That's great.
From the morning commute. All because
I did see that actually. Snow. Icy roads and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Don't miss those.
As soon as snow hits, the flakes start falling, the accidents start piling up. People can't drive for whatever reason.
At least there's a good excuse for people there. Here in Arizona, if it's just raining a little bit, and I'm talking like a sprinkle for 10, 15 minutes, people freak the hell out. Then you got people going 90 to 100 miles an hour, and then you got others going 45 on the highway. It's crazy.
People are probably in their cars behind you two idiots saying that you can't drive too.
Oh, that's all it is. It's just a round and round.
It's everybody just saying the person in front of them can't drive.
Especially when they see you.
I whip it around. I'm an elite driver.
I had that feeling. I don't know if you guys remember, but like 4 years ago now, I got rear-ended and my back bumper completely fell off. So that's how I felt just driving around. Everyone just thinking, man, that guy sucks at driving.
Yeah. Keaton, that is a situation there. That sucks.
How do you get hit 2 times in 3 days in 2 different cars? Holy
That's crazy,
cow.
Man.
That is rough.
Should just take the rest of the week off. No more driving. Enjoy a long weekend.
Ubers only. Shout out, Tanya. Thank you for helping us with our accident fund, just in case.
Appreciate it, Tanya.
Let's talk about a little bit of football.
Or should we talk about basketball?
I guess basketball. That's an option too.
Basketball's fun right now.
Basketball's a lot of fun. Oklahoma, number 9 in the country.
Yeah, they should climb a little bit with Houston dropping today.
Yeah, Houston dropped today. Well, see, here's the deal. Oklahoma plays TCU tomorrow on the road at TCU. And then we play on the road at Kansas on Saturday. In our last game in Lawrence as conference foes, can Oklahoma break the losing streak in Lawrence?
So.
That one will be fun to watch.
That will be the more entertaining game in the Kansas City area being played on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, the Dolphins are going to get beat by 40.
I think they got a shot.
I would agree with you because I think the Chiefs are – I mean, they're definitely down this year. There's no doubt about it. But if you look at that defense that the Dolphins are going to be rolling out, it's Union High School, boys. It's bad. They're pulling dudes straight from the retirement homes and making them start.
You just got Justin Houston and is it Bruce Irvin?
Bruce Irvin. Because that's how bad it is at defensive line right now. You got Emmanuel Agba is healthy, and I think that's it at the end.
Yeah, they were talking about it on the broadcast. Only played as a pass rusher on 3rd downs. Now he's got to play all 4.
He can't come off the field. These old dudes are gonna fatigue like I am right now. They're gonna have COVID lungs. That's all, and it's gonna be 2 degrees out there. It's gonna be a disaster. I was thinking about going to that game. I was talking to my brother and my cousin about going, and they were because the tickets weren't bad. They're like $85 whatever, so like $85 there. It probably would have been like a $300 trip, whatever, and I would have gone if I felt like the Dolphins could compete. But I'm just gonna be locked in on the television crying. I think I'm gonna throw 100 on Chiefs. just to cover the spreads, at least make a little money from the pain.
Yeah. Oklahoma hasn't won on the road in Lawrence, like Keaton said, in our lifetime. We haven't won since '93.
A long time.
It's been a very long time. And there's been a few games. You remember the Buddy Hield game?
That one was close.
Yeah. Oklahoma's played them tough. Not in every matchup. Definitely not every matchup. But there's been some close ones. Can Oklahoma break through in the final visit to Fog Allen? I hope.
Same. That Buddy Hield year, obviously, we only played them once in Lawrence, but both those losses to them that year were just both absolute heartbreakers.
Yeah, it was just bad situations at the end of the game.
Down to the horn both times. We came up short both times.
Yeah.
That year was probably my favorite year of OU basketball. The last Buddy Hield year.
I mean, Oklahoma's 9. Got a good home win against Iowa State. 13-1. You can't ask for much better in Porter Moser's third year. And they're a top 10 team in the country. We're going to see what they're really made of if they can go on the road at TCU. And this is the thing. TCU is a great team, and they're not even ranked. They're like 11-2 right now. So that's going to be a test in Fort Worth. I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma struggles a little bit. But Oklahoma could win that one. And then going on the road at KU, I mean, anything could happen. It's a top 10 matchup. I don't know. Is College Game Day going there?
I'm not really sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I don't know if they've announced, but yeah. Let me see. I was just curious.
Haven't been able to watch too much OU basketball this year, but seems like this team's actually pretty good. They don't get in their own way, which was a big problem last year.
Just the state of Oklahoma has some pretty good basketball teams right now outside of state because the Thunders are going to win the whole thing.
Oh yeah, they're going to the finals.
Celtics Thunder NBA Finals.
Yeah, we already saw that one work out.
Yeah, we already saw that played out. You got your cheeks.
We don't need
cheeks clapped.
If that happens, just go ahead and send to Larry O'Brien.
Dude, I was
non-competitive game.
I was there. The Celtics would 4-2 them easily. It might be 4-1.
How could you say you'd 4-1 then after
you lost?
Clapped your ass. Yeah, that doesn't even make sense.
It wasn't anywhere near a clap.
Weren't they winning pretty well?
All
and
of
then
your
they let
guys
you guys
out
come
there
back
too. And
they shot
2 dudes to a 30.
They shot like over 60% for the game.
Yeah, and the Unicorns dumbass had 50. He's never doing that again.
He didn't have 50. He had like 30.
He had like 36. And then one of the other idiots had 32.
Yeah,
and then
2 guys dropped 30.
And Jaylen Brown will 100% screw up when it matters. That guy, I love him. He's my favorite Celtic because that guy sucks.
Well, Miami Heat just gave Eric Spoelstra the farm.
It's because he's the best coach in the association.
Yeah. Anyway, people probably want to hear about football.
Yeah, we're all over the place here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into football, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, throw your thoughts in the chat. We love. We'll start popping them up as we go through the live stream. Trying to be a little bit more interactive. Some feedback we got from last week. Well, where do we want to start? Do we want to do a little national championship? Do we want to just go into transfer portal?
I mean, we could start with the national championship. I mean, that was yesterday. It's unfortunate that Michigan won. Not surprising, though.
I mean, very competitive game, I thought, until that third down where Roma Dunze, they hit that big one to Roma Dunze, and it was set them up nicely, and they were still only losing by a touchdown at that point. But there was holding on the right tackle, and then they had to punt that drive. And then from there, the brakes just fell off because Michigan scored the next possession. Then, just to try to stay alive, they drove down the field again. Penix gets picked. But that holding call really, really cost Washington a chance there, I think.
That holding call was atrocious. That really swung the game, it felt like. And Michael Penix, they could not protect him. The dude was getting killed.
They could not.
With
But to
the
kind
Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, couldn't block anybody.
that was just a really good defensive line. That defensive tackle, I think, was kind of slept on all year. Because I didn't know much about him until the last few weeks. Because just everyone wanted to talk about Tavondre Sweat, the Michigan defensive tackle, much better than Tavondre Sweat. But watching that game kind of made me think, to loop this into OU a little bit. The Venables might be more like Harbaugh than he is a Saban or Kirby Smart, where in the way that he's recruiting, it's not super flashy. He's getting his, one or two guys that are cornerstones in what he wants to do, but it's all about development and giving him as much time to get to that level of college football. Especially now with NIL, it's more competitive within just the entirety of college football. It's not just the top schools getting the best talent all the time. I don't know if you guys would agree. It just seems like maybe we have to be patient and realistic with Venables might not win a national championship. If he wins one, it might not be till like year 6 or 7. So how long has Harbaugh been at Michigan? Like 8 years? 6 years? I don't know. It's been a while.
2016, 2017, somewhere in there, I think.
Yeah, he
So
left
6
after the
years?
Super Bowl, right? Like right after?
I believe so.
I mean, maybe someone in the comments can tell us, but it's definitely more so. This seems to be just a gradual thing here for Venables. He's trying to build something that's bigger than trying to win immediately. He's not trying to be LSU and Coach O. He's trying to be Harbaugh and trying to sustain what he's doing. 3 consecutive appearances, and I think if they had a better quarterback, not that JJ is bad, but he's not like Heisman level
But
quarterback.
he is bad.
But he's good. He's
bad.
Serviceable.
He's bad.
He's Stetson Bennett.
He's bad.
A guy that can help win a
He's
national
worse than
championship.
Stetson Bennett.
He's not.
He
He's
benefited.
worse than Stetson Bennett.
He benefited in the same way that Stetson did with loaded teams around them, but they both suck.
But I'm saying if they had just an elite level quarterback with that run game they have, I don't think you can look at that team and say it's not one of the best teams in college football history. JJ McCarthy's what's holding them back.
It's not one of the best teams in college football history
Because of JJ. If they had a quarterback like Caleb Williams, if Caleb Williams was on that team with how they can run the ball, if they could have a guy that can throw the ball like Caleb, it's hard to say that they wouldn't, go up to that level.
They might, but Michigan fans claiming that it's one of the best teams ever is
No.
not true. I
It
mean,
is
that
impressive.
2019 LSU team would rip them apart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The 2000 Miami team would also destroy them.
Yeah, that is true. So, I don't know. It's over. It's done.
I see what you're saying, though. They are missing a quarterback, but I still think even if you give them a quarterback, they're obviously more competitive in some of these matchups we're talking about, but I still don't think they win.
Yeah. Well, Keaton brings up a point. Even if you put Dylan Gabriel there, I think Dylan's a very good quarterback. You wouldn't quite put him in elite level, but just a better passer puts him at a completely different level.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take Venables as long as it did for Harbaugh. Harbaugh came, I just looked it up, 2015. I don't think it'll take him that long because at the end of the day, when you're coaching in Michigan, you are trying to get a lot of the kids from the South, the southern regions and things like that, because the recruiting pool is not quite as good up in that, up in the upper Midwest and Northeast and stuff. And a lot of the talents in Texas, Florida, the southeastern part of the state or United States and California, I think you have a hard time selling that a little bit more. When you're down here in the South and the Southeast, you have a little bit of a easier time selling these kids to come play for you. Now Harbaugh, if he stays, I think he'll be able to recruit at even a higher level now, obviously, but so I'll be curious to see if he goes to the NFL.
Not saying you're wrong with the point you just brought up, but I'm looking at their recruiting class, and just out of the state of Texas, they only have one kid. If you want to go into like SEC country, then it's a little bit more like you got a point because he does have like his top recruit is from Missouri, an offensive lineman. He's got quite a few from. I don't know. He's got one Missouri, one Texas, a Tennessee, and then a Florida. Yeah, he's kind of sticking to the Northeast, and he's got a lot of Ohio kids. Ryan Day's kind of messing up there.
Yeah, but Venables is going to have he has a much better talent pool to pull from, and so I don't think it'll take him as long. But
maybe so. I just think this is definitely a game of patience that some fans are very clearly not wanting to go through, which I get. You know, you want to win every year, but if you look at what happened after year one, you'd think that him taking over a 10-win team would have given him an edge, but clearly that 10-win team was aided by one of the best college quarterbacks that had been around in a while, and that kind of just masked a lot of issues. Now he had to build a whole football team and not just hope that the quarterback could salvage the season.
Yeah. So someone made a comment, Dominic, talking about Lee Davis. That was interesting seeing that tweet today that she's leaving.
Yeah, after just 2 years, I don't really know what's going on there.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if she got an offer to go coach at Mississippi, or not coach, but be a part of Mississippi State. Does Jeff Levy try to convince her to go to the SEC? I mean, obviously we're going to the SEC, but come, basically follow him. I don't know. I thought she was doing pretty well, and I mean, Brennan, I assumed she got another job. I mean, did she tweet or announce where she was going? I didn't believe she did.
I didn't see that.
So someone scooped her up. I wonder if it's Mississippi State.
That wouldn't surprise me.
She does have Florida roots, right? Like Dominic is saying.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she came from the University of Florida.
Maybe she went back home. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to follow in the coming days.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Oklahoma will be able to find someone. But something that's a little more bizarre. Have you guys been following the Michael Tarkin ordeal?
I have.
That is interesting.
Weird.
Oh, Lloyd said UCF for Lee Davis and Dominic as well. So Central Florida.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Michael Tarkin thing, that's interesting. Because I saw that he posted he tweets as if he was 80 and posting on Facebook. Just a couple sentences. But he posted about him being committed to Oklahoma, and then saw like 3 hours later people were freaking out that he deleted it.
I think his mom did too. Did the same thing. His mom had posted up on Twitter or something and pulled hers down as well. It looks like, without having any real knowledge of the situation, that he's afraid that we are looking to add more depth there, and that he might not be just an immediate plug-and-play starter, and almost like he doesn't want to compete. That's how it looks like to me from the outside looking in. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else it would have been, unless it's something that he got he committed and he never signed or whatever, and someone gave him a call and offered him a bag that's too hard to turn down. It's either someone came in and offered him a ridiculous amount of money, or I think this whole, and we'll talk more about it, but the other couple guys that Oklahoma's recruiting, Hurd and Ferguson, I think that could definitely be playing a factor. He's only got 1 year left.
Yeah. And maybe he forgot to put AM or PM when he signed that letter of intent. It's always possible. We've seen it before.
Well,
I don't know.
The spring semester doesn't start yet, so he might not have signed yet.
When does school start? Because they have a week after school starts, right? to officially enroll?
It's got to be sometime next week, right?
It starts Tuesday because it's always after MLK Day.
Yeah.
All right. So we should have an idea of who's on this roster, offensive line wise, which I think if you can get 2 of the 3 guys that Oklahoma's actively recruiting, and Tarkin, Hurd, and Ferguson, you feel good. Whatever 2 it is, because it's not like any of the 3 were outstanding at the place they were previously at.
Yeah. But what's weird though is the fact that Tarkin is there. He's in Norman. But why would you delete your commitment if you're there? Yeah, your commitment tweet.
I don't know. I'm telling you, if Lance Hurd or Terrence Ferguson commit, we're going to see that he's not a Sooner.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. It's not the end of the world if he's gone. Obviously, we want him to be in Oklahoma, but honestly, I think anything that we've learned from doing this show for almost 3 years now is the fact that when there's smoke, there's fire. And when it seems weird and it's bizarre, it's because something's going to happen or something did happen.
Yeah. And that's without fail every single time. Maybe this is like do you guys remember Trey Bradford? In the first year that we did this show?
Yes.
One of the first transfers. He was part of the team for like 2 months in the summer and then hit the portal and then went back to LSU at the end of training camp. Maybe it's that kind of situation, but he's only there for a week. Didn't even get to enroll in his classes.
Yeah, it's got that weird feeling, but Ole Miss lost a commitment of a transfer commitment last week and had a flip to Louisville. So I mean, it happens, but I think it's weird that he's in Norman right now and you delete that. I don't know. We're gonna find out here soon, but
I think the fact that he's in Norman probably at least shows he's gonna be on the team more likely than not. It'd be weird to be hanging out there and not gonna be on the team at all. Like where's he staying? If he's staying with one of the football players, like let's say he's not on the team and he's staying there. Isn't it weird to just be hanging out there knowing you're gonna leave in a week or a couple days, really? Because he's got to go somewhere to school.
yeah, it's an odd ordeal. So my guess is they're going to probably, I agree with you, get it figured out. But there's obviously something that needs to be ironed out. And maybe it was a miscommunication on some sort of NIL deal. Like, we've had Caden Green, apparently that was an issue with him, the inconsistency and not communicating clearly. And maybe this is their way of having some leverage. I mean, like in any business, when you have leverage, you try to use it. So
yeah, if it is outside of Caden, we've also seen it. Not that OU would have this problem, but like Jaden Rashada, remember him? He was supposed to get like $3 million or something from Florida, and then signed his letter of intent, and like 3 days later requested a release so that he could go to ASU. And it was rumored or reported that it was because the NIL wasn't like direct. It was a weird NIL situation.
Yeah.
But someone asked a question here. Do you think this patchwork line will do the job at a high level in the SEC?
Brandon?
I think it's becoming less and less patchwork and pretty solid. What do you guys think? I don't know. Especially if you land Terrence Ferguson and Lance Hurd, and I understand they both didn't really play a lot or start a lot at their previous schools. They were buried behind some, elite talent at both Alabama and LSU. And they both have got all the tools you need to be really good on the offensive line. They're both huge. They're both 6'4 plus, way over 300 pounds. And I think Say what you want about Coach Beatonbow and his recruiting ability. There are differences on opinions on that matter, but once the guys are actually there, he does have a track record of the ability to develop these kids. I think it's a great fit for both Hurd, Ferguson, and the school. I hope we land both of them, and I think if you land both of them, I'm quite confident we're going to land at least one of them. And even then, I think that patchwork offensive line is becoming less and less patchwork.
The talent is there, especially assuming you get Ferguson and Hurd. I mean, Ferguson was a highly rated 4-star player, and Hurd was a 5-star. You've got the talent. You've brought in the young freshman Eddie Pierre-Louise there. Josh Bates, has some talent as well. And then you also bring in a few of the other guys, the guy from Michigan State, and the UNT guy. I don't know why I'm blanking on both of their names.
Spencer Brown's Michigan State, and I'm not even going to try the UNT transfer. His name
Spencer Brown.
It's tricky, and I will botch it if I attempt it.
Yeah, so you've got plenty of talent, but I guess my biggest concern is in my mind, it is still a little bit of patchwork because it's guys that you're pulling from across the country in different programs that have never played with each other, never practiced together. And obviously they're going to have time with spring ball, summer workouts and everything to kind of bond and figure everything out. And that'll be great. But you are pulling guys that, one, either didn't play where they were, two, in Tarkin's case, was not put in the right position to succeed. And you're pulling in guys that are, it's just tough to bring them all together so quickly and turn it around. Granted, I know they've got a few out of conference games, and the out of conference games aren't the toughest that they're going to have to face, but I think there's going to be some growing pains, but the hope would be with some of these guys like Ferguson and Hurd and playing Jacob Sexton, they would have a few years to play together in an ideal scenario. So they might not be perfect immediately, but you've got guys that have eligibility left, have talent, and can kind of grow together. So it might not be perfect this fall, but it could, in 2024.
I agree. And I don't really know. I don't know how much I'm more on the side of Brandon, where it doesn't really seem like patchwork. Not just because the line seems to be coming together, but what offensive line is ever without having to replace one or two guys every single year? I mean, it's very rare that you have a multiple year returning offensive line group. Let's just in college football, to have an offensive line return to as a unit for 2 years is not very common. So it's probably something we just got to get used to or realize. Now, if we did, like, let's say that does happen to Oklahoma, if we decide or if coaches decide they're going to just start the younger guys where they're going to have a group that they expect to be here for this season and next year as a group of 5, then obviously you're going to have to deal with the crap at the beginning where they're going to make a lot of mistakes, but you're going to have to hope that they put it all together, their communication improves, their chemistry improves, because every offensive lineman ever says the exact same thing every time when they're asked about like why it's difficult to play that position. Not just because you have these gigantic human beings coming at you and you're trying to stop them from getting to your quarterback, because if when one guy makes a mistake, you all mess up. So you got to figure out how your communication is going to work, your chemistry, especially in the interior, like passing guys along. There's always going to be issues. So once they figure that out, regardless of the unit, it'll be fine. I don't know. Hurd being there or not, I honestly don't think it'll be that big of a difference, because OU will be... I think I'd honestly prefer if it was guys that have been there for a couple of years. Like Sexton, Taylor, Bates, Howland, those guys. And then have those transfers maybe back up, unless they've earned the starting spot. I'd rather see guys that have been there for a little bit, knowing that they're going to stick around for the future.
you would like them, to like a Sexton and things like that being around a little bit longer. Ferguson, he would have 2 years of eligibility, but honestly, if he had a really good year, if he committed to Oklahoma, he'd be gone. Because he's a redshirt sophomore right now, about to go be a redshirt junior. So if he has a great year, he's gone. Um, but you're right. I mean, any good offensive line program is replacing one or two guys every year, but in this case, you're replacing all five. And to me, I think that's what makes it feel like a little bit. The talent isn't necessarily like patchwork, but it just feels like patchwork because you're going to bring in 4 or 5 transfers, ideally, in addition to what you already have on the roster. It's just a lot of talent to pull from different programs, and you would like to think that Oklahoma, if Oklahoma was only replacing 2 of the guys, they wouldn't be taking this many. It's just one thing after another. You had guys going to the NFL. Caden Green left. It's just unfortunate timing. I mean, starting 5 right now, include Hurd or not. I mean, Sexton would be your right tackle. Wait, Spencer Brown and Sexton are your 2 tackles. I believe Brown would be playing left tackle. And then assuming Tarkin is good, Tarkin would be probably your left guard. Joshua Bates is your center. And then Hurd, I mean, that's the thing is do you say that Hurd is going to, commit to Oklahoma? I don't know. But Eddie Pierre-Louis could be your starting right guard. Or Fabeki
No way.
From North Texas probably is your starting right guard, is my guess. I mean, Troy Everett could start at center as well instead of Josh Bates.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I'm thinking left guard is Sexton. He played
Left
there.
guard?
Yeah, left or not left guard. Left tackle is Sexton. He played there before during his freshman year. He was supposed to be the left tackle last year if it wasn't for the injury he sustained in the bowl game. So kind of just assume like that is his natural position. He's expected to be the left tackle. Left guard, if Tarkin is there, I would assume it's Tarkin because that's apparently the position he's been the best at. Not that someone can't come in and compete. I would guess that if someone is going to try to take that left guard spot from him or take that spot just overall as a starter, maybe a Jake Taylor. He's also been there for a few years now. See how he can do.
And if Terrence Ferguson commits, he plays guard or center.
Yeah, I mean, you can pop him in at whichever guard. I'm just kind of assuming he's not committing, and if he does, awesome. But that I would assume he would be an option for either guard spot. And Jake Taylor, center, Bates. He's kind of brought in to be the successor for Andrew Rame. We talked about it with him when he came on the show last year. Right guard, I would say Nwowu for Becky, and then right tackle is Spencer Brown.
Unless Lance.
Oh, you're muted, Brandon.
Sorry, I think Bobby has it. That's what I would have said. Wait, no,
Okay.
Not Tarkin. I'll throw Jake Taylor, Jake Taylor somebody in there. Definitely not Tarkin. But other than that, yeah. Right now.
Yeah. I do wonder.
But if you land Lance Hurd, that changes. I don't know. Sorry, I'm thinking to myself here.
Yeah. If Lance Hurd comes in, he would compete with both, for one of the tackle spots. Then if you throw in Ferguson, I'd almost put Ferguson in at center because he can play both guard and center. And then that way you'd have Sexton, I would say Sexton, Tarkin, Ferguson, Nwowu, and Spencer Brown or Lance Hurd playing it right. If Ferguson comes to town, put him in center because I mean Josh Bates at the end of the day just was a redshirt last year, so he he's a young pup, but he's got talent. So
I don't think we land Ferguson.
probably not.
If I'm being negative here, I'm taking a Brum approach here. I think we get Hurd though.
Still, if you get Tarkin and Hurd plus Brown and the way that's a haul out of the portal.
I get the excitement around both of those players, but how good do we really know they are? Because I'm looking at Lance Hurd did play a little bit last year, but he only started one game, so makes sense why you would expect him to be someone that could come in and play immediately. But Terrence Ferguson played 5 games his freshman year and then didn't play much last year. He kind of came in every once in a while. So do you know that they're for sure going to be better than what you've got right now? You expect them to be on the 2 deep, but like to come in and expect them to just change the outlook of the offensive line, I think is an unrealistic expectation for guys that you don't really know if they're. It's not like you're bringing in like Caden Green. Like you knew what Caden Green did. I think with all 3 of them in the transfer portal, Caden Green is still the best offensive lineman in the portal at the same time.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just the fact that he was a 5-star. I mean,
right. I know. I get it. Like it's a 5-star like attraction. But again, he played in 12 games, but he only started 1. I'd have to look at which one that was, but he was a guy that just like rotated it. Imagine saying like who was the guy that was more rotational this year for Oklahoma? Troy Everett. Troy Everett was rotational. Imagine saying Troy Everett's going to change the outlook of your offensive line.
Caleb Schaefer.
Well, I understand, but I mean, none of those guys came in with a 5-star rating and one of the top offensive linemen in the country either, though. So it's not exactly the same, but I get what you're saying. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you can be a 5-star and you can be a bust or not as good as what you were rated as, because offensive line ranking is probably the worst position that's graded out there. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think at the end of the day, when you bring in as much talent as possible to compete, iron sharpens iron, and you feel a lot better that you have options. And that's all you can ask for at the end of the day. And you just play your best 5.
I agree. Yeah, not saying at all that those guys wouldn't help the offensive line or be impactful. My position is just, I don't think that the addition of any combination of the 3 that we've talked about in the transfer portal right now would change the outlook of the offensive line immediately. Definitely the competition is there. Like you said, iron sharpens iron, that philosophy, the competitive depth that this coaching staff's always talking about. Maybe I'm just a pessimist in looking at these transfers and thinking, man, that's going to change our outlook. Because some OU fans, not saying everyone, but before Dylan Gabriel left for Oregon, were saying that he was the problem and Jackson Arnold was going to fix every issue Oklahoma had on the offense. And after that bowl game, some of those exact same fans are saying he's a big issue and he makes bad decisions when throwing the ball.
Isn't that funny?
It's crazy.
So before we move on to the next topic, we're north of 100 people in here. Be sure to like and subscribe. We are 24 subscribers away from 6,200. So help us out. Get us there. Hit the subscribe button. Turn the notification bell on so you know when we go live. Every Tuesday night, like you're here tonight at 8:30 Central Time, 8:30 p.m. And then also when we post videos throughout the week as well. So you can get a push notification, and then follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Had to throw a plug in there.
Always. Junior Days. That's coming up here at the end of the month. I guess last weekend of this month.
Yeah. There are some dogs coming to that. At least what I saw on Twitter recently.
Yeah. I think the biggest name that I'm excited about, and I think is a must get for Oklahoma in this cycle, is Jonah Williams.
Yeah.
247 has him as a linebacker, but Oklahoma's recruiting him as a safety. That dude is good. He's very talented. If Oklahoma can land him, that just shores up the defensive back room for a long time.
Is he out of Galveston? He's somewhere in South Texas, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it's Galveston. I'll double check.
Yeah. No, junior days. He is. I think Oklahoma's going to have a legitimate shot with him, but we have to also temper our expectations because, I mean, at the end of the day, being a 5-star on the defense, he's going to have the pick of the litter as far as where he wants to go.
Oh yeah.
The 2025 class is shaping up nicely to begin. It's very high ranked right now.
That is true. It is. It is.
And Kamari Moore had a heck of a combine.
Yeah.
I think it was a combine, right? Junior combine or something last weekend. I think that helped him in his ranking. The three of us have agreed he's severely underranked.
He is, and he'll emerge in this upcoming season. Another guy that we didn't actually talk about, and this is shifting gears real quick, is Oklahoma landed a tight end in Jake Roberts.
Good point.
Good point. I was going to ask if you guys brought that up when I was absent, but yeah, it's a big get. I think Jose and I talked about it a couple days ago. No, it was my buddy Alex, but I think he's the starter next season.
I would 100% agree.
Him or Bowser. I know his name is Bauer Sharp, but I'm going to call him Bowser.
Bowser. I think he definitely starts. I mean, obviously, Devon Mitchell is elite and extremely talented, but at the end of the day, coming in as a true freshman and being a year younger, reclassifying up, it's a tall ask to go play in the SEC year one and be an impact player. Jake Roberts, kind of provides you. He's a little bit of a receiving threat. Is he going to be, the next Travis Kelce? Probably not. But he can catch the football. I think you'll have more of a tight end threat than you did with Austin Stogner. And unfortunately for Stogner, I think it's just because of his injuries and his health issues in the past that slowed him down. But I think Jake Roberts wins it, and I don't think it hurts our chances for his little brother either.
I agree. I would, if it's not Devon Mitchell that starts, which I still think he's got a very, very good shot at starting for Oklahoma at tight end, it would be Jake Roberts. He is more well-rounded at tight end, and he does know. Bobby brought it up here. He played at UNT under
Luttrell.
Why am I blanking? Luttrell. So he kind of understands the offense, or should have a better understanding coming in immediately. So he's got that leg up on Mitchell. I'm still it should be Jake, then Devon, then Jack. What the other guy?
Jack Smith?
Nope, Bauer.
No.
Bowser.
Yeah, well, you just called me calling him Bowser made me blank on his name.
Bauer Sharp.
Bauer Sharp. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand the concern with Devon Mitchell, but it's not like we saw a freshman tight end make an impact in an SEC roster last year. Now, it wasn't the greatest SEC team. It was Arkansas, but he was probably the only bright spot on that team.
I mean, that's true, but he was also a true college freshman.
So will Devon Mitchell.
He was not a senior in high school.
No, that's not his classification. He will be a true college freshman.
A senior in high school.
And Caden Helms too. Cade Helms. He should probably at this point you would expect him to compete for some time.
No, Caden Helms is correct. Cade is Cade McIntyre. It's confusing with all the names that they got going on right now.
Caden Helms. I just size alone is why I think Devon Mitchell has the leg up. I would assume Helms has gotten a bit bigger since coming into Oklahoma now. McIntyre probably, but they were smaller comparing all three of them coming out of high school. Jake Roberts just has the more well-rounded game. I'm a big Mitchell fan. Think he's the bright spot in that room. And even if he does, I still think he should start this year, but I understand why some would assume he doesn't.
It's just like a tall ask. I mean, it's kind of similar. It's hard to expect. PJ Dabore came in as a 5-star, and it's like, oh, he's going to start and he's going to have 6 tackles this season. It's hard to set those expectations, and if he does, then everyone's happy, right?
Oh, I agree. Look, I'm going against what I normally think with all these high school recruits. I feel like I'm normally the one that's doubting their abilities and saying they're not going to impact the team immediately. Devon Mitchell is just a different guy that you need at a position of major need. As we're saying, we're having to go to the transfer portal for 2 tight ends. Maybe I'm just too excited for him. So maybe you guys will be right at the end of the day. But he's going to be impactful at some point at his time in Oklahoma.
I mean, I share your excitement for him. There's no doubt he's the future. I think he's going to be elite. Modern day caveman. Or no, Bobby's out here saying he reminds him of Jermaine Gresham. I think that's a good comparison. I think he's going to be a monster, but I just don't think that he's ready next season. The dude's supposed to be taking Office 8 and service learning and leaving school at noon, playing with his girlfriends and boyfriends and not playing SEC football. He's too young, I think.
We're going to find out. That's what's great about it.
Yeah. And it'll be fun to watch the spring game. I would assume that he will get plenty of opportunities during that time. And if he doesn't, then he's probably not going to be a guy that you see in the fall, assuming that he's healthy.
But again, even during a spring game, if you have a good outing, it doesn't mean everything. Like when Jaden Gibson was tearing it up, his very first spring there, and we thought he was going to be an impact player in the fall, and his freshman year, and it was not the best. So spring games got to take it with a grain of salt.
No, I agree. We got a question from Dominic here. Do y'all think we push for the top class in 2025? Or even top 3?
I think it's definitely top 5.
If we wanted to put another bet on it, I'm down. You guys still owe me a commercial.
A commercial.
Bro, whenever I recover from the vid, we'll shoot our commercial.
Yeah. Oklahoma will have the ability to push for a definite top 5 class. And I think what was missing in the 24 class, just because, they already had a 5-star quarterback on the roster, is, Michael Hawkins is good, but he just wasn't, rated as highly. Kevin Sperry is going to be rated highly before the end of the 2025 cycle. And because of that, he's going to be able to attract a lot of talent. And then also, being a 5-star, I think he'll be a 5-star at the end of this. Will help boost Oklahoma's ratings. Do I think Oklahoma lands the number 1 class? I don't think so. I think part of it is the fact that I think Oklahoma is not going to take quite the volume of commitments in the 25 class as they have in the 23 and 24 class. Just because I think they're going to have a lot of younger guys that are going to be able to play, probably not having a ton of transfers out. And I think they're positioned to not have as much turnover other than kids going to the NFL. Obviously, you're going to lose a few kids to the transfer portal, but I think Oklahoma's probably going to be, I think they've got 28 commits right now, 29, 20, somewhere in there. I think Oklahoma's probably more in that 24, 23, 24 commitments in this class. And so I think based off sheer volume, I don't think Oklahoma's going to be the number 1 class. So I think Oklahoma will be anywhere from 3 to 7 is my guess.
It'll be good. Every recruiting class has been good.
Jose, you're muted.
My bad. I would lean more towards the 7 side, just because I'm looking at the 2025 rankings right now. Notre Dame has 13 recruits. They're the number 1 class at the moment, but probably because they have 13. You have LSU and Alabama. LSU has 3 5-stars already in that class. Bama's got 2. Georgia's got 2. Ohio State has 1. So there's a lot of kids that still need to make their decision. Obviously, I mean, it's 2025. But to be in that top 3 range, I mean, when Oklahoma was top 5 into the 2023 cycle, we had 3 5-stars. And the difference between, we were number 4, right? The difference between us and Texas was a pretty big gap when you look at recruiting class rankings. So to be top 3 in this era of college football recruiting, you got to land a large amount of 5-stars and 4-stars mostly. Like you sprinkle in your occasional 3-star. That's not really Oklahoma's um, thing to do. They will just go get the guys that they feel are best suited for the program, regardless of the ranking. So you're still going to see plenty of 3-stars. I know some of you don't like it, but you're going to see them. And maybe Oklahoma lands 2 or 3 5-stars. I don't really foresee them getting more than that, especially because the 5-stars that there seem to be more in for are ones where that position group is pretty well taken care of. So they would be a nice addition to a good group of players.
I think they've already got a potential 5-star in the 2025 class. I think Jaden Nickens is a guy that can potentially make that push with the senior season of football to be played.
I agree.
Him and Sperry good too.
Sperry should be a 5-star. He's criminally underrated.
Yeah, so you can have, I mean, in theory, that's 2 5-stars, potential 5-stars already committed to you. And, you know, can you potentially get a commitment out of Jonah Williams and then Michael Fusay? Is it Fasusi? Yeah, Fasusi. Out of the DFW region. Can you get one of those? And then if they both rise in their rankings, there's 3. That typically secures you a top 5 class if you get 3 5-stars for the most part.
Yeah. I think if Oklahoma lands a top 10 class this year, you're just fine. Because like you said, Brum, it also seems like Oklahoma won't take the volume. I guess you can maybe this year you just look at the success by checking out the average rank. If you want to look at rankings, see where Oklahoma's average recruit rank is, because sometimes the sheer amount of players kind of outweighs how good the players that you're getting are.
Nice. So, Brandon, I gotta ask.
What's up?
So we're going off topic. What's your score prediction this weekend for your Chiefs and Dolphins?
Like 31-13. Guys
Chiefs?
in red. Yeah. Yeah. It's too cold for the fish. They literally get afraid of it. They have 3 players playing on defense. If Jalen Waddle doesn't play, there's absolutely no chance, because without Waddle, it's just Tyreek Hill running around with a bunch of us out there.
And Tyreek's kind of hurt.
Yeah, it's going to be disastrous. I'll be tuned in, though, hoping for opposite, but it's going to be ugly.
Yeah. I hate to say I told us so.
The fish will
freeze. Yeah. And that's coming from a fellow Dolphins fan and Jimmy as well. We've seen it before, those me and Jimmy, I'm sure. I mean, we've seen it. This is what they do. We were texting during the Sunday night game. You're like, there's no way the Dolphins lose this one. I literally texted back, the Dolphins are good at losing games. And 10 minutes later, they let a punt return go for a touchdown. And they find ways to lose. They invent it.
They are good at that. I was actually talking to a fan of the Bills a couple days ago during the game, actually, and he was angry that I compared Josh Allen to Brett Favre and Ben Roethlisberger and said Patrick Mahomes is more Tom Brady than Josh Allen. And Tua is pretty much Dan Marino. Will always be fun to watch, but probably won't win a thing, and is a Dolphin.
He needs to get out of Miami. As much as I don't want him to. But I don't know. I also think Tua freezes up so bad sometimes when it matters. Like I'm a huge Swift fan, but I would love to send her home here. No, like Tua is as good as he can be. Yeah, I mean, if you guys watched the play that eliminated the Dolphins on Sunday night, he hit the Buffalo Bills corner right in stride. Literally said, "Here you go, pal." And not only that, he was throwing the ball with the the AFC East division crown on the line to a double covered Chase Claypool. Like what in the who the hell? How was that a good idea? I think our
Never
three
throw it
fat
to Chase
asses
Claypool.
would have been like, let's not do that, especially a double cover Chase Claypool. That's just recipe for disaster.
An open Chase Claypool isn't good.
Yeah. That guy thought he was a top 5 receiver at one point in his career.
They said top 3.
Yeah. Self-confidence at his highest.
Yeah. No. Yeah, and then you got the Eagles and Baker.
That's a fun one on Monday night. I think Tampa Bay is going to win. Philly feels a lot like the Dolphins right now. They're inventing ways to lose.
I would say Philly's even worse than the Dolphins this year. Are they not?
They're right there with them.
They're up
right there with them.
They're the Dolphins and the Eagles are two of the biggest frauds in the league right now.
I mean, the Eagles at one point in the season were 10-1.
They were 10-0.
They were 10-1.
Oh, they were 10-1. My bad. Yeah, they were 9-0 and they lost to Philly or San Fran.
Yeah, and then they went 1-5.
Impressive.
I legitimately think, as much as more of a boring game this would be, if I'm Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, I'm going to run the tush push every single play because I think they can get 3 yards on that every play. Oh, yeah. And if they run that every play, that they're going to have 12-minute drives and score every time.
I mean, Roger already said he's going to make it illegal. You might as well benefit from it. Might as well
run it every damn play, and you wouldn't lose. As bad as you are, you wouldn't lose.
You bleed a lot of clock. Probably won't score until like the 1 minute mark in the first quarter if you start with the ball.
And then it just takes one stop, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Rams and the Lions. Matt Stafford coming home to Detroit.
I hope the Lions win.
That's a fun one. I think the Rams win. I think Stafford's going to come home and kind of give it to him. The Rams are playing really good ball right now too. The Rams and the Bills, I think, are two of the hottest teams in the association.
We all know it's going to be Ravens-Niners. The NFL already told us. They told us 6 months ago when they started the football season.
Well, the thing about the NFC is I don't think anybody's in it is good, really, outside of San Francisco. You got Dallas as the 2 seed. They lost to the Dolphins. That says all you need to know about your 2 seed in the NFC. Detroit, I think, can be tough. As much as I love Tampa, I don't think they're getting it done. Philly's falling off a cliff. I think the Niners just win it easy.
I think the Bills Mafia is going to go on a run.
I want to agree with you because just how hot they are, but I mean, they were 6-6, finished 11-6. So obviously they're on a 5-game streak right now. They need 3 more to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, that would just be. It's hard to stay hot for that long, I think.
It is, but they've got the Steelers this weekend playing against Oklahoma State, Mason Rudolph. And
hey, the Steelers aren't bad. 10-win team.
Yeah, but they don't have TJ Watt. And Mike Tomlin does everything possible to make sure he wins at least 9 games a year. Can you believe in 17 years he has not had a losing record?
It's impressive. Pretty impressive.
It is.
I will say, the thing about the Bills, the best team they've beat in this stretch is the Dolphins.
Not Kansas City. That was that
Kansas City. Kansas City. But it was because Kadarius Toney decided to line up offsides.
Yeah, it hurt, but what was the score and situation there in that game there? If for a second, let's pretend that Toney touchdown counts.
It would have been 24-20.
24-20?
Chiefs.
With how much time?
Not sure. It was to end the game, I'm pretty sure. I think that was as the clock expired.
No.
No.
Are you sure?
That was not a clock expiring moment. Because that would have been even crazier.
Let's see.
But we've seen how fast those two assholes can score against each other.
They had 55 seconds left in the game.
That's an eternity.
They had a minute. I don't know how many timeouts Buffalo.
They had that one game where they felt like they scored 6 touchdowns in 55 seconds combined.
True. I think the Bills are going to make a run.
I think Ravens and Niners is the popular pick, but I do think the AFC is more competitive. I think Baltimore, Buffalo, and Cleveland can come out of the AFC. And I know that sounds crazy with Cleveland, but their defense is for real. And Joey Flacco is just throwing that thing all over creation right now. It feels
it's a weird year when it's 2024 and we are resting Joe Flacco in Week 18 for the playoffs. That is,
he's been slinging that thing.
I know, but who would have ever thought Joe Flacco was being rested for the playoffs?
I mean, he's throwing a lot of picks, but he's throwing a lot of touchdowns too. I don't really care about his interceptions. He's got 13 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Yeah. Joe Flacco doesn't care. He's just going in there with nothing to lose.
Which game are you guys most looking forward to?
I mean, I can
This
not.
particular game, yes. That's the game you're most looking forward to?
Yeah.
I mean, me too.
If I had to pick one out of the NFC, it'd probably be Dallas, Green Bay. I think it'll be interesting if Dallas can get over their fear of the Packers.
I got Tampa and Philly on the NFC side.
I think Detroit, the Rams, that's the one I'm most excited for. I think that's going to be the most exciting game. But fortunately, Sam Laporta's hurt.
MCDC did not make good personnel decision making last week. He got Laporta hurt. Their number 2 receiver, Reynolds, I think is Josh Reynolds. St. Brown had a little bit of a rib issue towards the end of the game.
Well, weren't they still technically playing for a 2 seed if things went?
Yeah, but they needed both the Eagles and the Cowboys to lose. And the Cowboys
they probably banked on Philly to lose, and that happened.
But the Cowboys were playing the Commies.
Well, the referees pretty much handed the Dallas Cowboys a 2 seed then, with just some egregiously horrible officiating.
As soon as the Lions got screwed by the refs in that Cowboys game, it was basically over. Because there's no way because the Cowboys were still playing for the NFC crown or NFC East crown, weren't they? If they lost, the Eagles would have.
Yeah, because
the Eagles won. They would have.
It was right there to the end. Speaking of Dallas, can we talk about the incredible run that CD's on? You guys seen the stat that he's got a touchdown in 9 straight games? That hasn't happened for a receiver since 2012.
It's pretty good. Pretty good at football. Probably the second best receiver in football. Right behind.
I would agree. I think it goes Tyreek, then CD, then Jettis.
Nope. Justin, then CD, then Tyreek.
No, Tyreek's different.
Tyreek can do one thing, and it's go fast.
He does more than go fast.
He goes fast. That's about it.
He goes really fast.
Really fast. He's really good at one thing, and it's going fast. He's hurt. Can't do shit.
Brum, what's happened with your Patriots, buddy? I have not seen anything. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen here with
we're in Cancun right now.
Well, I know that, but I mean, what's going on with the Belichick situation? Oh. What have you seen? Is it happening? Are they going to retain him?
I think they're going to retain him.
I haven't seen anything there.
You don't want Vrabes?
If we did let Belichick go, I'd want Vrabel. But they had a meeting already, Kraft and Belichick, and they're going to have another one. But it seems like that there's a report that Belichick might be willing to give up being in the GM to stay as the coach.
I think the longer it drags out, the more I'll feel like he's going to stay. But
who are you drafting? Drake May or Bo Nix? That's a real question.
Not Bo Nix. Are you kidding me? At 3?
Dude, you love Bo Nix.
I was about to say, you were so high on Bo
since he was a freshman in college.
He's good, but he's not a number 3 pick in the NFL draft. Good.
Trade back and take Michael Penix.
Yeah, we'll trade you guys.
We'll take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, to have who the hell's going to throw him the football?
Me.
They're in that same. You guys are drafting a quarterback next year.
Yep, Bailey Zapp out there or Mac Jones. Your quarterback situation is not good.
No,
your weapon situation is not good either. They should draft a wide receiver or 2 or 5.
Yeah. Their offense is not very good.
I'm hoping that Caleb Williams slides. And
there's always possible in this time of the year. Michael
It is.
Penix might go number 1.
I don't think Michael Penix will go number 1 after that game that we just watched. He gives me Tua vibes.
He was a pretty good quarterback in the NFL.
No.
I mean, he did lead the league in passing yards.
Because he has Tyreek Hill who can go fast.
What I'm telling you, Penix is like Tua, and Tua is a guy that is a great passer. He can score score touchdowns, rack up the yards, but he's not quite good enough to carry the team to victory and a Super Bowl run when it matters most. Everything has to be perfect.
I'd probably agree with that. Although we really haven't into his defense here, and it's last year he didn't get to play in the postseason. He was injured. Skylar Thompson almost beat the Buffalo Bills last year in Buffalo. Crazy. And this year he's playing with the JV defense in Kansas City, and if he doesn't have Jalen Waddle too or Mostert, like I don't really know. At some point, excuses are excuses, but there's a lot going against him, I think, on Saturday.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I hope the Patriots don't let Belichick go. Got to keep him.
Here's the last thing to finish up with, boys, unless you guys have anything else. Does Harbaugh go to the NFL? Is he done now?
Yes.
I agree.
He's going to the Chicago Bears.
I don't know.
That would make sense, but I don't think they're going to fire Eberflus. Unless Harbaugh literally calls him and says, "Hey, I want to come here," then I think they will. But I think he's going to be a charge.
I think it would just be hilarious if Harbaugh is the Bears coach because he played for the Bears, and I mean he got it done in Michigan. He's going to get it done in Chicago.
Chicago would be a fun team to take over right now too. I think the Bears can make him look really good. They kind of finished this season strong, and they've got all the draft capital in the world to make a run here.
What's the better job, the Bears or the Chargers?
I pick Chicago.
I'd probably pick Chicago as well, just because the Chargers, you can't just wash the stink of the Chargers off.
I agree. They have all the talent in the world, but they can't put it together.
Yeah.
And the head coach can go in there and pretty much do whatever he wants with all the Bears, what they have right now.
Yep.
I would agree that the location is significantly better. I'd rather live in Los Angeles than Chicago.
I don't know. Los Angeles is a dumpster. I hated it there.
They're both dumpsters.
Yeah, I wouldn't live in either one if it was up to me. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, went off on a tangent there, but I think that's all I've got.
Last years are 4. Yeah, I got nothing else.
Good job today.
All right. Well, you've made it this far. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. We'll catch you guys next time.